The other day, I was trying to avoid studying, so I decided to open TikTok. I know, classic first mistake. As I scrolled, I started to notice a recurring theme. TikTok really wanted to diagnose me with something. Are you normal or do you have to fall asleep to TV or noise playing in the background? I heard that's a trauma response. People who are over explainers were probably silenced, invalidated, and minimized as kids. When you find out sleeping on your left side with your hands like this is a sign of ADHD and is referred to as dinosaur hands. For a second, these had me hooked. Yeah, I do fall asleep with the sounds of TV in the background, and I love over-explaining. And yeah, I probably do fall asleep on my left side sometimes. But does that mean I have trauma from my childhood or ADHD? No, it means that I have poor sleep habits, I talk a lot, and sometimes my left side is more comfortable. Being diagnosed with a mental or neurodevelopmental condition involves a lot more than just having random traits. In order to receive a diagnosis for example, for something like ADHD, you need to be evaluated by a registered clinician such as a psychiatrist or a psychologist. The clinician will evaluate you based on a set of criteria that are listed in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, aka the DSM. To give you an example of what this looks like, here is the criteria for ADHD in adults. First, you need 5 or more symptoms of hyperactivity and/or inattention. This includes things like being unable to stay focused on a task for long periods of time, interrupting a lot, constantly fidgeting, and just being disorganized. Additionally, you need to have these symptoms present before the age of 12, and they must be present in at least 2 settings. Finally, these symptoms must interfere with your daily functioning. So, do dinosaur hands fit in there anywhere? No, they do not. So, after thinking about the DSM for a while, I went back to TikTok. Unfortunately, since I had stopped to read those first 3 videos, TikTok was now convinced that I really wanted to watch these, so it kept pushing more of these. There was one trend in particular that stuck out to me though. Do you write half in print, half in cursive? Well, I have bad news for you because either you have ADHD or you have severe trauma and are a serial killer. So, to me, and possibly you, this clearly seems fake, right? I assume this would seem fake to everyone else, so I opened the comments on the ADHD video and I was sorely mistaken. Most of the comments were along the lines of, oh my goodness, this confirms I have ADHD, or I already have an ADHD diagnosis, but this random video I saw on TikTok, that really sells it for me. My personal favorite though is this one. Apparently I'm neurodivergent. I guess I should look up what that is. So what is it about these TikToks that grab onto people and make them believe things that they don't even know what the word means? Why do self-diagnosis trends go viral? So there are a few components to this, but first of all, it's important to recognize that these videos are maximized for engagement. A lot of you probably do write half in print, half in cursive, not because you're a serial killer, but because it's faster. These trends usually use vague and general descriptions that describe pretty much anyone. Second of all, it's nice to fit in. When you see that these videos are constantly being shown to you and you open these comments and everyone is saying, yeah, I totally have ADHD, that makes you feel like you are on the outside of this group. So you might accept this label, say that you also have this diagnosis so that you can join this group and be on the inside of the community. Last but not least, there is confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the tendency to seek out information that supports a hypothesis and reject any information that disproves it. In the case of these TikToks, people who feel like they identify with a label or a diagnosis, they're probably not going to seek any resources that would suggest otherwise. If anything, they will just look for more videos that suggest the same thing. This problem is made worse by social media because the social media algorithms, once they notice that you engage with the video, they're going to keep pushing more and more of the same to you. So in the case of these ADHD videos, once you engage with one, you're going to keep seeing signs of ADHD. And then those comments are going to be the ones that feel most familiar to you, and so you're going to keep reinforcing this idea. Unfortunately, TikTok and other social media platforms benefit from you falling for this misinformation. So, how can you avoid this? Here are some tips to avoid falling for TikTok misinformation. First of all, if you see a big, bold claim, be skeptical. No reputable clinician would ever make such a diagnosis based on such limited information. This is especially the case when the claims are very certain or decisive. Second, check your sources. There are creators out there who do want to share evidence-based information, but they will usually cite their sources and reference where they're getting that information from. If you don't see any resources that they're referencing, that's not a great sign. You can look for your own, but make sure you're always checking official agencies with peer-reviewed information. And finally, I want to remind you that correlation is not causation. Even if every single serial killer ever were to write half in print, half in cursive, that doesn't mean that the two are related. It might just be a coincidence. We can't make generalizations based on that. So, none of this is to say that you do or don't have ADHD or any other neurodevelopmental condition. But if you ever do feel like you meet the criteria for a disorder, please consult expert opinions and not TikTok trends. Thank you.